Hey, how's it going? This is Melinda and welcome to my channel. Today I am doing my year-end review of 2022. I'm going to be taking records month to month and discussing the highlights, the controversies, the things that drove us crazy this year, along with some beautiful releases. It was a great year for music. So if you're not a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe, hit the like button. I appreciate it. And let's get started. There's so much to cover with January. And we got Crescent by John Coltrane's Quartet, a wonderful release from Acoustic Sound Series, really great. And also we got Coltrane live at the Village Vanguard, a lot of really great releases for John Coltrane fans this year. We'll show a little more later as the year goes on. And I really love these. They're beautiful records. They sound incredible. They're in the condition and at the price point I want to pay. So let's move on to the month of February. And we got this beautiful Pacific Jazz release at Joe Pass. It's a beautiful, very minimal release. It's great to cuddle up with a warm blanket and your fireplace and listen to this beautiful record. So happy to have it in my collection. And in the month of February, I had a very interesting conversation with a cashier taking my money at a store. It was a store that sells DVDs, used toys, used books, and used records. And I didn't share this originally on the video when I showed this record, but this conversation stood out to me so much that I wanted to share it now. And this is the record Bob Dylan's Empire Burlesque. And I took it up to the counter with some other releases and she looked at it, this wonderful little sweet cashier, she's probably in her early 20s. She said, "Bob Dylan, is he still alive?" And I said, "Yeah, he's still alive. I just saw him in concert last year, just a couple months ago." And she said, "Well, how old is he?" I said, "He's probably about 80. And then she looked a little more closely at this picture and she said, "Is he still hot?" I didn't know what to say there. I just said, "He looks great for his age. Yes, he's still cute." I didn't know what to say. I just thought that was an interesting conversation that still this day, almost a year later, sticks in my head. So that was the month of February. Let's move on to the month of March. And we got one of my favorite releases, Out There by Eric Dolphy. He is known for being a free jazz kind of guy, but you know what? On this one, he reins it in. And this is one of my favorite releases of the year. I love this record. It's really good classic jazz, and he kind of pushes the envelope into free jazz just a little, but to make it interesting and beautiful. I love this record so much. So that was a fantastic one. And then here at the end of March, we got a fantastic release from one of our very own here in the vinyl community, the Wild Times Reflections. I love the album cover. And this was brought to us by Mike Esposito of the In Groove. He even got a credit for this as being the production supervisor. It's a killer psychedelic release, and it was mastered by Bernie Grunman. It sounds great. I really enjoy this one. It's not one I would have ever known about had I not been watching the In Groove and buying records from the In Groove. So that was a tremendous release. And we move on to the month of April and a wonderful UHQR. We all got a little more experienced in the month of April, thanks to the Analog Productions version of Are You Experienced by Jimi Hendrix, a wonderful UHQR that sounds killer. I love it. This was a tremendous one. And that was a huge one for me in the month of April, along with what a lot of people really loved. This is also What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. This one had a lot of extra songs, and it was a killer version of this record. A lot of people wanted to get that one step that came out several years ago. but cost so much money. This was another beautiful way to get it. Cut by Kevin Gray, sounds incredible. So that was another big release that a lot of people picked up on in April. I received my biggest grail of the year in this month. I also got to see the Zombies in concert. So thank you to Mike in Nebraska. He sent this my way. Odyssey and Oracle on the Date label. It is a first pressing. It sounds incredible. One of my all-time favorite album covers. It's so beautiful. I was so happy to add this one in the collection. Also in April, of course, we had Record Store Day. What was the biggest one everybody wanted and that people were going mad to find? Was it Art Pepper or Bill Evans? No, it was something crazy. It was a single by Taylor Swift called The Lakes. 10,000 copies, but obviously there are more than 10,000 fans of Taylor Swift, and they went store to store, storming everywhere trying to find this release. And still to this day, it last sold for $80. And it's not the last time that the Swifties got swifted this year, because they've also been trying to buy concert tickets, and that has not been going well. So Record Store Day was a lot of fun. I got a lot of great stuff. I happened to win a contest. That's how I have that record. Otherwise I probably wouldn't have picked it up. I would have left it for someone else who's a bigger Taylor Swift fan. Now we move into the month of May, and a record that I bought, but I was surprised I loved so much. John Coltrane and Johnny Hartman. Again, this is Acoustic Sound Series. I'm not a big jazz vocalist fan. There's a few that I really love, but I bought this one because I knew it would sound terrific. And of course, it's John Coltrane. But you know what? Johnny Hartman's awesome. And it's like listening to a Frank Sinatra record with the added bonus of John Coltrane. Fantastic. Sounds incredible. One of my favorites. Also in May, this record was one I expected to be huge. And it's like there was such a hype for these, and then poof, what happened? We don't hear anything about this anymore. It just kind of died. And I'm talking about this is the Small Batch by Craft Recordings. This was Relaxin' with the Miles Davis Quintet. I loved this one. I went out of my way to make sure I ordered it. And there was, I guess, some fiascos going on the year before, and I was all mad about how they were only selling 1,000 copies of certain records I really wanted to have. So they upped the numbers. They added this one, and it's still for sale. I'm glad they have an unlimited amount, so everybody that wants a copy can have it. But all of a sudden, these Craft Recording small batches kind of just phased out, and we really don't hear much excitement about these anymore. Maybe that will change. I'm sure they're going to put out another release that's going to spark our interest all over again. I know there's this Vince Guaraldi one coming out that I'm personally excited about, but a lot of people are like, it's a $10 or $20 record. It's easy to find. I never find it in good condition. So the Craft Recording small batch, that was all the hype in 2021, is kind of taking a little bit of a nosedive, but I think it'll come back. Now, we're also going to talk about what my favorite live album was of the year. It is the Rolling Stones' El Macumbo, 1977. Not only is the set list fantastic, but I can only imagine being someone who bought a ticket to see April Wine as a wonderful act and seeing them in concert, only to find out they were the opening act to the Rolling Stones, and you got treated to seeing the Rolling Stones in 1977. Fantastic concert, and I really loved that one. So now we can move on to June. And a wonderful release, Bill Evans' You Must Believe in Spring. I love this record. It's gorgeous. What a wonderful record to come out, and that is not the end of Bill Evans for the year. Also, on a sad note now, but an exciting note back in June, this is a really cool one that came out. Journey, live in Houston, 1981. This is during Escape, before Frontier. They were exploding. They were already a popular band, but they were about to become major band that still is loved to this day. So this is a great release. Steve Perry is still singing here. It's a great performance. The reason why it stands out to me is because I think 2022 might be the end of Journey. There's been so much going on. It seems like Steve Perry is suing Neil Schon, and Neil Schon is suing Jonathan Cain. And a few years ago, there were members kicked out of the band. There's just so much controversy going on with Journey right now that I'm afraid this may be the end for this band. This might be the final year. I hope not, but this was a great live release. We then move on to the month of July, and there was a release that renewed our faith in half-speed mastering, because half-speed mastering had kind of taken a reputation hit. A lot of the records that were from just different bands didn't quite cut it for us. And then this beautiful release came out, and I love it. Now, I've never heard the original, but I don't care. I don't need to, because I'm so happy with my Roxy Music Avalon. What a beautiful, gorgeous release that came out here in the month of July. Did anything else happen in July? I don't know. Of course, we all know what happened. Mobile Fidelity. We found out that they were using a DSD file, a digital step in their sourcing. But you know what? I think we've all kind of taken our sides now. It's settled. I don't really think I need to bring up again what happened. If you are someone who is deeply offended and you don't want DSD files or any digital sourcing in your collection, you can sell your Mobile Fidelity records and get your money back and then some. And for a lot of us who still just thought, you know what, I still enjoy the records, I still think they sound great, we stayed with Mobile Fidelity, and I even bought a few records that were otherwise out of reach for me, like this one. This is a one-step that came out in 2019, but I was able to buy for a much cheaper price during that whole Mobile Fidelity controversy. I barely paid over what the retail price was for it. So I was a very happy girl. I think we've all let Mobile Fidelity go now. We've just picked our camps. Are we for Mobile Fidelity? Are we against Mobile Fidelity? I respect both sides, and that was probably the biggest controversy of the year when it comes to vinyl collecting, but I think it's over, and hopefully that will be the end of it. Now we can move on to the month of August, and a lot of people were talking about a particular artist at this time, Kate Bush. Around July and August, Stranger Things really brought her back into the spotlight with songs like Running Up the Hill. And I was able to get this beautiful release thanks to Mike in Nebraska. It is her greatest hits. I really love it. I personally like Wuthering Heights as well. But you know what? This is someone we hadn't talked about in a long time. I'm glad to see a Kate Bush resurgence this past year. There was also another resurgence for a record that came out back in the early 90s. I took a college class where I was required to take a movie class, and I studied a movie called Wild at Heart. This beautiful song called Wicked Game was featured in that movie, and I finally was able to pick this one up. It's Chris Isaak's Heart-Shaped World. I really like this record. Not only do I love Wicked Game, but I love it. It's just a great rockabilly album. It sounds incredible. It's a great reissue, one of the highlights of the year for me. Now we can move on to the month of September, and there were some really great releases as well as a wonderful vinyl find for me while I was on vacation. Let's start off here with a beautiful record, 1 Year by Colin Blunstone on the Sundazed label. This sounds incredible, and Rod Argent and Chris White from the members of the Zombies produced this record. Of course, Colin Blunstone was the lead singer for the Zombies. This is a beautiful, very sparse. It really focuses on Colin Blunstone's gorgeous vocals. And I really love this record. Highly recommend it. It was one of my favorites that came out and a gorgeous record. So love this one, as well as a wonderful find that I got while I was in St. Augustine. Our vacation was cut a little short due to a hurricane, but that's okay. I found a really wonderful record that I otherwise don't know I would have ever found. It's Chet Baker Sings, and this is a 1957 copy. And as you can see, it is in gorgeous condition, and the vinyl is as well. This one is on the World Pacific label. You know, it was a tone poet that a lot of people are seeking out. I was happy to find this very, very early pressing and really enjoy it. So that was a highlight for me, and very happy to have that one in the collection. Also, there was a beautiful Blue Train. This was one that I had been wanting in my collection for so very long. And now I have a gorgeous copy. There was a stereo version and a mono version. I chose the mono version, and I love it. Best tone poet of the year for me. There was a lot of great Blue Note titles that came out, but that one was a huge one for me. Also, a wonderful release that came out, a dream come true for me in September. Bill Evans, Riverside Recordings. A beautiful Bill Evans box set. And you know what? This was a true moment where a company listened to the customers. Analog Productions. I'm sure Chad Kassem was told a million times, man, I would really love it if you would reissue that Bill Evans box set. I still hadn't bought it. I really want it. This thing is a pain in the hind end to have to put together. It's a huge undertaking, but you know what? I really feel like they listened to their customers and they put this one back out, and I am so happy to have this beautiful box set for Bill Evans, one of my favorite jazz pianists of all time. So that was a true highlight for me of the year, and I love having that one in the collection. So we end the month of September with a beautiful Pink Floyd release, Animals, and it sounds fantastic. It's a gorgeous record. It also brings up one of the issues that I want to bring up that disappointed me most this year. There's never been a year where I had more clicks and pops, warps and problems, bent corners, you name it, when it comes to reissues and new records. And it shouldn't be happening. So along with this being a celebrated, wonderful release that I'm very, very happy about, I can't, not mention the fact that we got so many records that were in poor condition, warps, clicks, and pops this year. That should not happen. And unfortunately, it's still a problem. We move into the month of October. There's really only one release that everybody was talking about. It is the Beatles, and it is a wonderful release. Revolver. We all love the album Revolver, and this came with the Giles Martin stereo remix. You could buy it separately, or you could buy it in the box like I did. This also came with a killer mono version that sounds fantastic. A lot of demos and outtakes, really great stuff. A beautiful box. I'm so glad that every year we have a Beatles box set, a Beatles release to look forward to. They know how to keep the Beatles in the spotlight, keep their music fresh, And you know what? They're just going to live forever. So that was the release to have in October, in my opinion. We can now move on to November. I'm going to show two records here they were both celebrating 40 years. Their release was 40 years ago, and yet their careers couldn't be on a more different trajectory. I'm talking about Kiss and the 40th anniversary release of Creatures of the Night. Now, Kiss was an incredible band, and along with this next record, I'm going to be showing they had a decade where, and years and years and years, where they were all everybody talked about. They were the hottest band in the land, but not at this moment. Creatures of the Night was an incredible record, but unfortunately for Kiss, their careers were on the ropes. And they ended up, after this release, taking off the makeup and going on to having pretty good success in the 80s and still being really important today. Still touring, still out there, and still loved and well known. And so also I have to share this one. Of course, I just made a video about it. Thriller. Now, while Kiss's reputation and careers were all going downhill, it was only going up for Michael Jackson with this release. And Mobile Fidelity did a great job. I really enjoy this. I think it sounds great. You can hear details at the same time. I think it's a great dance record. It's a really cool one. Of course, Michael Jackson then would face his own controversies and his own problems in his own career. But at this moment, he was going up, 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 up. And November was great to have that wonderful Creatures of the Night release, as well as Michael Jackson's Mobile Fidelity Thriller release. That brings us into December. And I'm sure for a lot of you, a lot's going on. Hopefully there will be some more cool releases. For me, I'm just going to be taking it back, enjoying the holidays, buying gifts for others, and awaiting the year that will be. I'm hoping for Van Halen One Steps. I'm hoping for Hotel California and the Long Run by the Eagles. I'm hoping for Miles Davis, Bitches Brew, Sketches of Spain. There's a lot of stuff to look forward to. I can only imagine what's coming down for us. There's been a lot of great stuff, some controversies along the way, but overall, 2022 was a fantastic year for vinyl collecting, and hopefully the economy picks back up. Maybe some of the secondary market settles down, and we have a great 2023. So let me know what I missed out on in the comments. What were the highlights for you? Alice in Chains' Dirt comes to mind, but if you have any others, let me know. And thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.